What if the moment they stop texting you is the moment you finally gain power? And what if the silence you fear is actually the doorway to attraction? Listen carefully, because most men misunderstand this completely. When contact ends, panic begins. You start checking your phone, you reread messages, you ask yourself what went wrong. But I need you to understand something as a man who wants strength, not emotional dependence. Silence is not rejection. Silence is information. When two people stop communicating, the dynamic resets, the emotional balance shifts, and whoever reacts first loses leverage. Not because games are being played, but because attraction is deeply tied to psychological space. When you constantly reach out, you signal availability without mystery. When you step back with confidence, you signal self-respect. I'm not telling you to manipulate anyone. I'm telling you how human psychology works. Women, like men, are drawn to emotional stability. When contact stops, she begins to evaluate. She may not show it. She may even act indifferent. But internally, her mind starts processing your absence. And absence is powerful. It forces reflection. The mistake most men make is filling silence with anxiety-driven behavior. Double texting, subtle hints, emotional posts, indirect messages. These actions don't create attraction. They communicate uncertainty. And uncertainty lowers perceived value. Attraction thrives on clarity, grounded energy, and self-control. Now, let me be very clear. When communication pauses, you do not chase. You do not punish. You do not assume. You observe. You focus on your life, you train, you build, you improve your income, you strengthen your body, you expand your social circle. Because the real game begins when you redirect attention inward. Here is the truth most people won't tell you. Attraction increases when you are emotionally regulated during separation. If she stops contacting you and you remain calm, you communicate depth. If she reaches out after silence and you respond with warmth but not desperation, you demonstrate stability. That combination is rare, and rarity increases value. During no contact, she is not just missing you. She is reassessing you. She is comparing the emotional experience she had with you to the silence she now feels. That contrast shapes desire. Humans bond through emotional contrast, not constant access. But this only works if your silence is genuine. If you withdraw to trigger a reaction, it will feel unnatural. People sense energy. The goal is not to play hard to get. The goal is to become hard to replace. That happens when your life is full, your standards are clear, and your identity is not dependent on response time. So if communication stops, do not collapse internally. Do not rush to fix what may not be broken. Instead, ask yourself, am I reacting from fear or from confidence? Because when both of you stop contacting each other, the real psychological shift begins, and the man who stays centered wins quietly. Now I want you to think deeply about this question. If she stopped texting tomorrow, would your life improve or would it pause? Be honest with yourself in the comments. If this message made you think differently, like the video, subscribe for more psychological insights, and share it with one friend who needs to understand the power of silence. When contact disappears, most men assume the connection is dying. In reality, the connection is transforming. Here is something you must understand about female psychology in healthy relationships. Emotional attachment is not built through constant communication alone. It is built through emotional impact, and impact requires space. When you both stop contacting each other, the nervous system begins to adjust. The routine breaks. The brain notices the absence of predictable interaction. Predictability feels safe, but safety alone does not create attraction. Attraction requires a balance of comfort and uncertainty, not chaos, not games, just space for desire to breathe. When she stops reaching out, many men interpret it as loss, but sometimes it is observation. Women often test emotional consistency unconsciously. They want to see how you behave when attention is not being exchanged. Do you become anxious, or do you remain grounded? Your response during silence reveals your emotional maturity more than any conversation ever could. If you panic, you communicate dependency. If you remain calm and focused, you communicate stability. And stability is deeply attractive in long-term dynamics. It signals that you are not controlled by external validation. Now let's talk honestly. When both of you stop contacting each other, ego starts to speak. You may think, she should text first. She may think, he should text first. But attraction does not grow in ego battles. It grows in emotional strength. This is why the real shift begins internally. During silence, you have two options. You can obsess over why it happened, or you can upgrade yourself. One path weakens your confidence. The other strengthens your identity. Men who thrive in relationships understand this principle. Your value is not measured by response speed. It is measured by your presence, your direction, and your self-respect. When communication pauses, do not interpret it as rejection immediately. Life is complex. People get busy, emotions fluctuate, but your mindset must stay steady. That steadiness communicates leadership energy, and leadership energy is universally respected. Here is another truth. When you stop chasing and focus on your growth, you become more attractive naturally. Not because you are pretending to be unavailable, but because your attention becomes intentional. Women can sense when a man has purpose beyond the relationship. That purpose increases intrigue. Silence gives both people space to evaluate feelings honestly. Sometimes it confirms connection. Sometimes it reveals incompatibility. Either outcome is valuable, because clarity is better than confusion. But remember this carefully. The moment you feel desperate to fill the silence, you lose emotional leverage. Not over her, over yourself. Control your response, control your tone, control your behavior. That is the real game. When contact stops, ask yourself, am I acting from insecurity or from self-trust? Because the man who trusts himself during silence becomes the man who is trusted by others. And now I want you to think about this deeply. If she does not contact you for a week, can you remain emotionally strong without proving anything? Write your honest answer in the comments. And if this message is helping you see relationships differently, like the video, subscribe for more psychological clarity, and share it with someone who needs stronger relationship mindset. When both of you stop contacting each other, something powerful happens that most men never notice. The emotional attachment does not disappear immediately. It enters a testing phase. Silence creates reflection. Reflection creates comparison. And comparison shapes desire. During constant contact, emotions move quickly. But during silence, emotions deepen. The brain starts replaying memories, not just the good moments, the emotional moments. How you made her feel, how you handled tension, how you responded under pressure. This is why your behavior during the quiet period matters more than you think. If you become reactive, send long emotional messages, or try to force clarity, you introduce pressure. Pressure reduces attraction. Not because you are weak, but because tension without stability feels overwhelming. Healthy attraction requires emotional breathing room. When communication stops, a secure man does not chase validation. He continues building his life. He maintains routine. He stays disciplined. This sends a powerful subconscious signal. My happiness does not depend on immediate attention. That mindset is deeply attractive because it reflects emotional independence. Now let me explain something important about female psychology in a calm, healthy dynamic. When a woman feels safe, respected, and emotionally connected, silence does not automatically mean disinterest. Sometimes it means processing. Sometimes it means evaluating feelings. Sometimes it simply means life demands attention elsewhere. But here is the key difference. A confident man does not assume the worst without evidence. He observes patterns. If the silence is temporary, he remains steady. If the silence becomes consistent and disrespectful, he reassesses the relationship with maturity, not anger. That distinction separates emotional control from emotional avoidance. When both people stop contacting each other, the real game is not about tactics. It is about self-discipline. Can you regulate your emotions without external reassurance? Can you stay grounded without constant affirmation? That is the true test. Attraction grows when a man demonstrates calm certainty, not arrogance, not manipulation. Certainty. Certainty sounds like this internally. If this connection is right, it will continue. If not, I will still be okay. That energy removes desperation, and desperation is the fastest way to weaken attraction. Silence also reveals something else: compatibility. If during no contact you feel peace, that is a sign of emotional balance. If you feel extreme anxiety, that may signal attachment patterns that need improvement. Both insights are valuable. Growth comes from awareness. The moment communication pauses, you gain an opportunity most men waste. You can upgrade your body, sharpen your skills, expand your network, and strengthen your confidence. When you return to interaction from a position of growth, not waiting, your presence feels different, stronger, calmer, more attractive. Because attraction is not only about words, it is about energy stability. Now I want you to reflect honestly. If contact stopped today, would you use the silence to improve yourself or to obsess over the outcome? Answer that in the comments. If this video is helping you understand relationship psychology in a deeper way, like it, subscribe for more insights, and share it with a friend who needs stronger emotional discipline in dating. When you both stop contacting each other, this is where emotional maturity either grows or collapses. The silence is not the enemy. Your reaction to it is. Many men believe the person who reaches out first wins. That is not how healthy relationships work. In stable dynamics, there is no winner and loser. There is only alignment or misalignment. When communication pauses, it gives both people space to feel the reality of the connection without noise. Here is what often happens psychologically during silence. At first, there may be relief, then curiosity, then reflection, then evaluation. The brain naturally asks, do I miss this person or do I miss the routine? This distinction is powerful. Routine creates comfort, but comfort is not the same as connection. When the routine disappears, genuine feelings become clearer. If she does not contact you, resist the urge to interpret it immediately as rejection. Focus on observable behavior, not assumptions. Confidence is built on evidence, not imagination. At the same time, understand this. If someone consistently avoids communication, shows no effort, or disrespects your boundaries, silence also reveals that truth. No contact exposes patterns. It does not create them. This is why I call it the beginning of the real game. Not a game of manipulation, but a game of self-awareness. When communication stops, you are presented with a choice. You can chase reassurance, or you can demonstrate self-respect. Self-respect sounds simple, but it is powerful. It means you do not beg for attention. You do not pressure responses. You do not lose your identity over temporary distance. You remain composed. And composure is attractive across cultures, whether in the USA, UK, Canada, or anywhere else. Women respond strongly to emotional stability, not drama, not overreaction, stability. When both people stop contacting each other, the strongest move is not silence out of pride. It is silence out of purpose. You continue your life with direction. You communicate only when it is meaningful. You respond calmly if they reach out. That balance builds respect. Healthy attraction thrives in environments where both individuals feel free, not controlled. If the connection is strong, silence will not destroy it. It will test it. And what survives healthy tests becomes stronger. But if silence reveals imbalance, that information protects you from investing in the wrong dynamic. Either outcome benefits you. Now let me ask you something important, something that requires honesty. If she stopped contacting you tomorrow, would you feel calm and focused on your goals, or anxious and distracted? Tell me in the comments. If this message helped you understand the psychology behind silence and attraction, like the video, subscribe for more relationship insights, and share it with one friend who needs to develop stronger emotional control in dating. Because the man who masters himself during silence masters his outcomes.